I'm Laurie Funderburg, principal at Eden Elementary, and this is our data report from the third 9 weeks. I want to share the demographics of Eden Elementary. We have 416 students, and we split it evenly with 208 males and 208 females. We're 67% free and reduced lunch. We have 360 students that are white, 41 students are black, 11 Hispanic, and 4 American Indian students. I wanted to talk for just a minute about the Alabama Literacy Act. You know that this is in place and that it will be in full implementation the year 2021-2022. And this affects our students that were just completing the first grade. When those students become third graders, they will be held accountable to be on or above grade level, or they'll have to repeat the third grade. We report our results 3 times a year through ARI and our reading coaches in our building. And this next year, we'll be using the STAR 360 to do those assessments. This past year, we used mostly DIPLS and STAR Reading. Our assessments involve all of these different areas. In kindergarten, we start off with phoneme segmentation fluency. We want to make sure that our students are able to manipulate the sounds in words so that they'll be able to read and spell and write. In first grade, we use nonsense word fluency, and that will help us with assessing their phonics skills to make sure they know how to manipulate those sounds and to spell words and read. In second grade, we use oral reading fluency, and this mainly assesses accuracy and automaticity. Our third grade students use the STAR Reading report, and that mainly assesses their comprehension and will tell us if they're reading on grade level. This is a composite results from our DIPLS testing that was done from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. And you can see in kindergarten, this was a big concern for us that 90% of our students came in below grade level. When we came in and we had, the red shows the deficit, they would be our intensive friends. The yellow shows our strategic friends that are still below grade level. Green bar shows our benchmark friends, and then the blue bar shows those that are above grade level, which we have very few of those coming into our building, especially in kindergarten. We have been able to see some gains in that. It's a steady increase. Where are we now? You can look at this chart and be able to see the bars. The blue bar represents the reading deficit percentages back in August. The red bar shows our reading deficits in October. And then the yellow bar shows the deficits in January. So when you look at kindergarten, you can see that we had deficits, we had a rise in the number, and then we had a significant drop. Our first grade is a celebrating moment. We had a high percentage of deficits, and we've dropped really low. Second grade, we have had some improvement, but we didn't make much progress from October to January. And the same just about applies to third grade. So our celebrations here, well, when we drill down to this, the area we were looking at the most, our critical test would be word reading fluency for our first grade students. And before we got out, we were at a 6% deficit. So we're very proud of that. In our third grade, we were down to an 8% deficit on the STAR Reading assessment. Some areas for growth for us would be kindergarten. Even though it looked like we had success on the bars, we had quite a few students that still in January did not have their correct letter sounds. That's something that we know we'll need to work on. In second grade, another area of growth would be an opportunity to try to make some better gains in that, in our oral reading fluency. The trends that we do see is that we had improvement in all of our grades, so that is something to still celebrate. The issues that we have are that each time we give this assessment, the benchmarks raise, and so we have to keep up with that trend as well as trying to close those gaps. One of the things that we've discussed in first grade is the assessment that is given already assesses our students on long vowels at this point. And for our classroom instruction, we're using a phonics program that does not do that until closer to the end of the year. So our students are being assessed on things that we are not completely covering in the classroom with these assessments. We also have an ACAP focus, especially for these second and third grade students. And so that may be taken away from some of our other areas that we need to be mindful of. We also need to look at our second and third grade students to try to check on the time that they're actually reading content in the classroom versus just answering questions. And then I think our biggest issue is the COVID-19. We have been out since March and very concerned about where these students will come back. Our school plans to start on August the 21st, and it will be 5 months and a week since we've had these students in our building. So not just the summer slide, COVID slide, and on top of already having some major deficits in our students is a big concern for us. So what are our next steps? I think that always we're going to have to build from phonemic awareness and phonics. We're going to have to make sure that we're spiraling back for that in all of our grades, but especially hit that in kindergarten. We also need to work on decodable and transitional text. We need to make sure that we're mindful of having these opportunities for the students as often as possible. And then we want to make sure that we're focusing in on our fluency instruction. With the Alabama Literacy Act, we do have coaching support, and that's one of the things that we want to make sure we're more aware of. We were able to change this past year to PLCs mid-year, and our reading coach was a major part of that, where we looked at progress monitoring and data all throughout the year. We met weekly, and we were able to put in some coaching cycles in the classroom, which I thought was wonderful. We want to continue doing modeling these reading strategies, using this data for instruction, and continue the professional learning while using the reading coach. Does anyone have any questions? I know this is an awkward format, but I'm going to send this to you. I'm sending this to you in your Zoom meeting, and we'll get back together when we have our next session. Thank you.